Sandvig. I'm Dewey's little brother. Actually, I'm not his little brother, I'm his younger brother. I have to say something, and you have to forgive me. Well, let me read this to you. When my mother passed away, Dewey and I, the night before her service, we're sitting down, and he asked me, he says, Dave, are you going to talk tomorrow at the service? And I said, yeah, I probably will. Well, Dewey, being my oldest brother, and he's the scholar of the family, he says, you have some notes? And I said, sure. So I have one piece of paper with my notes, which Pat has seen before. I ordered pieces the other night, nobody could read it but me. Anyway, it's like, I have one word, it's like dog, something remind me of, we did something funny with the dog, or mouse, or house, or whatever. And so Dewey took my paper and he's looking like this, and he says, Dave, why don't you just say what you want to say tomorrow? Anyway, that's the way he was with me. And I got to say, I took these notes, or I wrote this, and I got to show you, Dewey. See, I got notes. Anyway, my memory, and a lot of this will be repeat of people have already said. So, anyway, my memory with Dewey starts because we were 10 years difference, and started in Denver where we lived. And I have to mention that in my family, immediate family, was Dewey the oldest, my sister who passed away, Merlin, and my other brother Frank, who's older than me, who has passed away, and myself. So I'm the only one, and Pat and I are the old ones of the family. So, anyway, I do remember, when we were in Denver, Dewey was a great athlete. He ran track for the high school there, East Denver High, and then he did a lot of pickup touch football games and basketball, and he was a really good basketball player. And I don't know, he's swinging on a rope or something, fell off, broke his arm. I was here again young, and ended up having to use, because he was right-handed, ended up shooting baskets with the left hand, and he became very, very good shooting left or right. So I always admired, the way he was in athletes. Anyway, when Dewey was younger, my dad took him hunting. My dad was a forester, and so they went elk hunting and deer hunting, and then he took Dewey along. And until just recently, Dewey's the only male of the Sandvig family. I mean, Doug and Paul and me and whatever. All of us have been hunters, except Dewey. And I just figured it out. He never wanted to get his hands dirty. So can you imagine him cleaning an elk or a deer? Anyway, I mean, this is I love the man. Anyway, let me, the other thing about the cleaning of the elk or the deer, Dewey, knowing the way he always had a plan, he'd probably be, looking for somebody that would accept a visa for cleaning the deer for himself. Anyway, let me read this from, graduated from high school and then on to the University of Montana, became a Sigma Chi, then married to Pat, and then to the Air Force as an officer at Riverside, California. After the Air Force, he and Pat moved back to Denver. He worked as a trainee at Montgomery Ward's. As a trainee, he sold shoes. Here's the other thing. Can you imagine Dewey working with people's feet? At that time, Dewey and Pat, being married, lived in an apartment in Denver, and lo and behold, they took in a wild, wild teenager. And I lived with them, okay, with Dewey and Pat. Here again, I was a teenager, and I needed a lot of correcting. Dewey had some pretty hard and fast, strict rules for me, but I'll tell you deep down, he was soft. Real soft. And so was Pat. Anyway, from Denver, I was going to say also that, one weekend, and these are some of the memories I just think of, and this is the way Dewey was. Got together with a lot of his friends. Now you have to realize he's 26, 27 years old, I guess at the time. and he and Pat got their friends, and we went to some park out of Denver, and picked up a game of Capture the Flag. And that was so much fun. I'll never forget that. You know, we had a big picnic. And we lived very close to a park there in Denver, and anytime Dewey could get enough of my friends or his friends or whatever, we'd go over to the park and play touch football. I mean, that's just the way he was. And that was one of the things. Dewey was, at my age, and at his age, he was so active. I mean, so active of doing all these different things and having lots of fun in life. And he was that way up until just recently. I mean, he was just a young man. And I'm just amazed right now that he was always had something going. Anyway, when Sandy and I got married, we were living, at that time, we moved to Santa Monica from Denver. And then Pat and Dewey bought a brand new house in Canoga Park, which they raised their 3 children in that house. Well, anyway, I eventually moved out and decided that I'd get married to Sandy. And so we didn't have a lot of money at that time, hardly anything. And so anyway, Pat was nice enough for our reception to bake a wedding cake for us. Okay, and we went to the church they attended to get married, and this is how bad it was. We couldn't afford anybody to sing or do anything else, so we had a record that, you know, Here Comes the Bride. And I shouldn't say this, I wasn't going to say this, not on my notes, but Dewey was there, so something mechanically had to go wrong. The record got stuck. Anyway, after that, we had a reception at their house, and here again, Dewey and Pat had a plan. Sandy and I wanted to go on a honeymoon, but I had an old clunker car that wouldn't make it to Palm Springs. So they came up with the idea that they would drive us to Palm Springs. So we rented a motel with an attached bedroom that they let us have. And Dewey, here again, had a plan for everything. We played his favorite game of hearts on our honeymoon. Anyway, I'll tell you, we couldn't have a better honeymoon. But the 2 of them, and I really mean that, you know. So anyway, another thing is everybody in the room here, first of all, he'd be very proud that we almost have a full house, okay? Which is really nice. That's an honor to him. He had a lot of good friends. But, you know, Dewey was a little different than I am. He was pretty prim, pretty proper, but he's a first-class guy. And just recently, when he was on the ranch and he was sick and not feeling good, he needed to get to from the bedroom to the couch, and so I asked Pat, because I was helping him with putting his shoes on, and it was kind of a hassle getting him out of bed and trying to help him to the couch, and so he wanted his slippers or shoes on, and so I asked Pat, I says, you know, I wonder if we could just forget the shoes or the slippers. It might be a little bit easier, and maybe he could, you know, go to the couch on stocking feet. And Pat mentioned, she says, maybe she told me, I don't think I've ever seen Dewey walking in the house without something on his feet. And that's the way he was. He always had something on his feet. But I talked him into doing a sock, so we were okay. So then Doug tells me one time that he graciously was going to refill Dewey's scotch glass. And so Doug had done it, put 2 ice cubes in it, and took it over to Dewey. Dewey looks at Doug and says, no, I used 4 ice cubes. So, anyway, when he was sick, you know, he had I'd get him a glass of water, you know, at night and this and that. I started putting 2 ice cubes in it, and so from there on out, it was 2 ice cubes in his water glass. Anyway, a couple things, and this has already been mentioned. Dewey's just a